Huh? Yeah.
Okay, ready? Okay, everybody. Okay, so this is the last presentation of the day, and what's that? Oh, last presentation of the day, and this is about the future of the forum, like astromech.net. And we have with us Philip Wise, the owner of the forum, and I'm going to turn it over to him, and then we're going to do a little Q&A because we've had a lot of people asking questions about, hey, what's going on with astromech.net? And so Philip's going to walk us through it, and this should be great information. I've really been looking forward to this at the end of the con. So this is the last one. Let's do the attention that he deserves and listen to what's going on. Philip, thank you very much. It's all yours.
Okay, thank you. I am delighted to be able to give you an update about the forum. I thought first, though, because I talk to people all the time about parts in my shop and stuff like that, that I'd walk around and show everybody a little bit of the shop. And let's see if I can figure out how to do this. This is where I spend my day when I'm on my computer, which is quite a bit of time, especially approving users for Astromech, which happens all day long. This is where my R2 lives. Generally, I get a lot of visitors to the shop, so this is a little photo op space for them. And this part of the shop is really kind of the woodwork. Oh. Okay. Oh, okay. So I basically build replicas of props for collectors. This is TARS from Interstellar. This is very frequently we have Darth Vader popcorn every day. My soft drink machine from episode 1, which is always on free play, TARS, Leia. A lot of video games, more woodworking equipment. These two guys here belong to Neil Ilanen, R2 builder that a lot of you guys might know. My last rabbit hole I went down was building owl houses that do a good job of getting owls in, and then they have cameras so the owls inside have absolutely no privacy. And 3D printing, I've been using bamboos now as soon as I learned about bamboos from Neil, and I actually now have 2 more bamboos. So when I'm in production on parts, I really like just how fast they put parts out. This is my soldering station. These are Oblivion screen used costumes from Tom Cruise. I was a big fan of Oblivion. I have a bunch of Oblivion props because unlike Star Wars, I can afford those. That's a replica of the computers in Oblivion. And some acrylic flowers I made recently that my neighbors love. Video games. Let's see. Many of you guys may know I made the Ark of the Covenant replica and kit so that people could build those. That was the first one. And Indiana Jones Pinball. More games that have been restored. This is my laser room. This is where all the parts live, screws, every screw you can imagine. And then back here at the machine shop. So the most recent thing is logic display bezels. I have all Haas machines. This is my 5-axis Haas, which is the best machine of all. And this is same machine except only 4-axis. And this is the lathe. So this is where it all runs from. And I learned to do all that stuff because I had a neighbor down the street that had mills, and I was having him run stuff. And one day it dawned on me I could buy a small learned to run it myself, and it's been pretty fantastic. I'm not a job shop. I don't do this for a living. I just do it for fun. So that's the shop. I come here 7 days a week, and I have a real fuzzy line between work and play here because I retired some time ago, but I still have the official picks autograph business. And I wonder if I can make you guys bigger for me. There we go. And one of the things many of you may know, I started Rebelscum.com back in '95, and very soon after that took over the Force.net. And so I've been doing Star Wars kind of web stuff, what feels like forever. Along the way, we've been running forums for both of those sites on pretty grand scale for a long time. And I'm friends with Wayne, and he knew that I was interested in kind of leveling up Astromech, and he didn't really have the time to mess with it. And so recently he did say, do you want to do it? And I said, yes, I want to do it. So I've taken it over from him. And when we got it, it's running. Everybody knows it runs. It actually runs pretty darn good considering the environment it runs in, which is a free hosting environment where we have almost no flexibility. And we are running the way the forum was brought together, was kind of cobbled together with some sacrifices made toward its future migration ability. And we're running on an old operating system. We're running on old software called the Bulletin. At any time, the host could say, you're out of here. At any time, the host could say, we cannot have that operating system on our network because it's a security risk. And so when we took over, my first goal was to protect Astromech, to make sure that if any of those things happened, that we could recover from it. So happily, Chris James, who some of you probably know, he's a Unix guy, he's a programming guy, and he's been the one that's been running Astromech for a while. And he is amazing. And without him, we would all really be in trouble on the forum because he knows the history. He enjoys dabbling on it. And he had been keeping track of what do we need to do with the forum in order to make it what everybody wants. So the very first thing I did is I have a pretty good sized hosting environment for my websites today. So we just added a couple of servers, and I went out and bought new software, which is Zenforo, which is what is kind of the leading forum software and certainly one that we have experience with. And we moved a copy of Astromech to that forum and actually brought up Astromech on the new server, as well as in Zenforo. So we actually know that worst case happened, we could still be running. We might break some things because some of the stuff that we use, like the wiki and the file library and the media gallery, doesn't play well on the new operating system. So we might have some difficulty with that, but we would still have our posts and we'd still have our history. So daily now we're moving backups there. So in case something happens, we can restore it. We won't lose it, which we were in real danger of when I first looked at it. And we are, I'll get down to the details in a little bit, but we're working to make sure that when we do move it, we have something we're all pretty happy with. And at least we know what's going to break. At least we think we'll know what's going to break. There's always surprises, but because I've done a lot of big moves, we're doing a big move for the Force.net right now to an updated version of Zenforo. Chris is actually doing that for us because he wanted the experience of doing a bit. That's the biggest forum I'm aware of. It is huge. It's 25 years of history. It's a lot there. So if you're going to break something, we'll learn it right there. One other thing we did is I look at the people who ask to join every day. And, you know, I don't know if you know, but we ask them why they want to join. And it's, some of the comments are interesting, you know, the love of Star Wars. I ran into a guys at a show, which is probably one of the best ways that new members come in, because those guys have seen them, talked to other builders like you, and they already understand a lot more about what it's going to take to build an R2. We went through some numbers so I could share them with you. We get about 11 new registrations a day, which doesn't seem like a lot, but if 1 out of 10 of those guys built an R2, that'd be a substantial increase in the number of R2s that are built. Problem with that is that most of these people don't post. I went back and looked at it yesterday just to get an idea. There won't even be one post in one of 20, which is somewhat surprising to me, that they're all excited, yet they don't even go put in a welcome message, which I would really like to see. Some big numbers about the forum, I'll give you that. We have 74,000 members that are in the database. 63,000 of those have never posted one time. Over 54,000 of these are flagged for deletion when we move the forum. And that'll be somebody that joined more than a year ago and has never posted and has no activity. So he hasn't sent a private message. Some people log in and send private messages but never post. It's a lot of overhead to have that many people. And we're doing some thinking about, what are people really trying to get out of the forum? Are they just interested and they come in and see it and say, oh, I can't do that, or it's too much for me? And we do want to do some more work to welcome a user that comes in. I know it's overwhelming today when somebody wants to, we tell them to, everybody says, go read. Well, I mean, there's a lot of reading, and some of that reading maybe isn't the easiest reading to do. So everybody probably that posts on the forum knows about Vagabond Elf. This guy is helping us create stuff to read that makes it easier for people to get into it. At some point, we're going to have to edit the wiki because it is really completely out of date. And he'll probably head up that project for us. I think he can write down stuff more clearly than anybody I've seen in the forum, in terms of, this is all your options and this is what you're in for, and these are how to make these decisions. And he's pretty good about that thought process. So even though there have been times when I've been irritated with stuff he's written, I think by and large he's going to be a good benefit for getting new members in that are actually going to participate. Get some details on that stuff. We have more than 15 years of real live experience running TFN and Rebelscum. TFN forums is run like nothing I've ever seen. The volunteers there are more professional than people that get paid a lot of money to do this. Chris is learning from them because they manage the forum and the members so well. It's like an organization that you just want to be part of. Zenforo, if you visit other forums on the web, they're probably run by Zenforo. They just have a lot of things to engage the community. You know, even as simple as liking a post, which is something we can't do today. And so the forum will get a lot better the minute we get to Zenforo. The problems that we are worried about and why we haven't actually changed the forum yet. The wiki, there's no way to migrate the wiki over to even the bulletin where it keeps who created the documents. It'll remember who created the documents, but it's not going to mean anything because that user gets vacated when we move it over.
Now, I don't really think that's a problem, because when we bring it over, I think we're going to edit it such that a lot of what's there is going to go away, and what is left there can just be referenced. And I don't know if members care that that Chris James created the one on CSR versus CSL, but that is a problem that is going to happen when we bring it over. The gallery, the photo gallery. So let me back up one step. What's more important than is the user that created the article there, is that if it's linked in a post, that link doesn't break. That's actually the biggest risk we have when you migrate a forum, is that links, internal links from post to post, or from post to wiki, or post to photo, don't get lost, especially photos that are in the gallery or photos that are external. Because when you look at a post and all the images are broken, and there's 150,000 of those, we want to make sure that we don't lose any of those links. The media gallery, we believe that we're going to be able to save the links, but we're not going to be able to keep that gallery as an editable gallery. So it'll come over, it'll be frozen, all the links will still work, but we'll have new software for new photos. So, I mean, the good news is we won't have broken links to photos in all of our posts. The bad news is you'll have to use a different program, but the new program will be better than what we have. A common complaint that we have from the forum is search, because the search is absolutely awful. And we have been using a search called Elasticsearch on the Force.net and Rebelscum for years. It is a pretty fantastic search. It's going to be a dramatic improvement in being able to actually search for something and find it. We haven't tested blueprint files, but there's a file program that's core to Zenforo that we believe we're going to be able to have that. When we look at the access to the files, it's very popular. It might be that those 50,000 people that never post, all they do is they come over and download those files. I do see that a lot. I have one more thing to say that is the most interesting to me, and I think Michael Badley, is he in the crowd, or is he gone? He's over there?
He's here. Hang on.
When I read the comments about people or why they want to join, more than half of them either are already printing R2 or they plan to print an R2. Hey!
Hey, Philip. How you doing?
I can't hear you. So anyway, more than half are printing, or already have started printing. And it's curious to me that there are that many, and I'll be interested. We're gonna try to engage those people more, and probably do a better job of making sure that we're a good resource for those guys. I have every belief that the team we have put together, the three guys that are doing the forum upgrade, it's going to go well. We're going to be happy with it. It'll be a better resource. I want to get more people engaged in catching up the wiki, figuring out a way to better engage the new users so that they don't just come in and not do anything. And so if anybody is, dying to do that, we're dying to engage you in that. I can't hear anybody, but I do want to open it up for questions. If anybody has questions.
Let's see why we can't hear you. Audio.
Can you hear me now? We're seeing it. You can't hear us?
Can you hear me?
I was unmuted earlier.
It said you were muted.
How about now?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, thank God.
Oh, hold on. Hello.
Hello, can you
Try
hear
it
me?
again. I can hear you.
All right, you can hear us now?
Yeah, when I flipped the camera, I also muted you from my speaker.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't him. That's a very tiny dot on my screen. Is there any questions?
All right. Any questions? Hold on. Is there a time frame of when you plan this switch over?
No. We are, so Chris and I spend time on this almost every day. And it's maintaining the list of things to do and that can break has been an effort. And part of the problem is that Zenforo has their next version is going to embrace what we call single sign-on. So you have all these wiki, gallery, Elasticsearch, all these things, media that on Astromech were cobbled together such that when you log in, it logs you in or creates phantom users for each of those added utilities. That's why we can't directly migrate, because each one of those was custom made, and there's no migration that can understand that custom made stuff. Single sign-on is not part of the way we want to bring those utilities over today. It still has to be custom, but it's something that we anticipate being able to do. We're waiting for them to release a better beta than the initial beta, so we could see if it works. We'd rather have that there in place before we do the migration, but we also don't want to wait forever. So I began with my first goal was to make sure that if something happened we had a disaster recovery plan. Once we got that done, and that was a huge effort right at the beginning. Once we got that done, I took away the sense of urgency that we have to move today, because we don't really have to move today. We just want to move as soon as we can. Now that we've finished doing the prep for the migration of the force.net, we're back on this, and we now have a list of the exact tasks that we need to get done. And then we're going to find out from Zenforo if this is a this year thing or if it's a next year thing. If it's a this year thing, we might wait. If it's a next year thing, we're definitely not waiting. I want to get on my server so that we never have a surprise. I'm worried about the surprise. You see posted at the top of the forum, there's a note that they're going to do something to the servers and migrate them. We're worried that the reason they've delayed that is we may be one of those people that's a problem for them. And so we've been waiting for that for a couple of months now. And I don't know, they're not giving us any update, even though at first they said they made it sound like it was going to happen the next day. So that's the long answer to the question. No, we don't have a time frame, but we do want to do it as soon as we can.
Very good. All right.
I was going to kind of ask about that message that you were talking about that was up on top of the forum. I know that you said that they made it sound like they were going to do the update like the next day, and it's been delayed. So you might not have an answer to this, but is there any idea as far as like how long the forum might be down, and like would the Facebook be the best place to find updates, like when it does go down, as far as when it would be back online?
So we did have some communication with them, which is unusual for this free hosting place. We actually like to not let them think much about it, because we're worried that if they think much about it, they'll just make us go away. It sounded like a couple of hours. It didn't sound like it was going to be any big deal. If they did make us go away and we had to come live on the other server, it would literally be just re-importing the data, which could go pretty fast. and pointing the DNS. And since I run my own DNS, it's easy to get that done. So if we were down a half a day, I'd be surprised.
Very good. All right.
Yes.
Next question.
Hey, Phil. It's Greg Tracy. How you doing? Got a
Good.
quick question for you. I didn't know about what's going on, especially with the notification with the flags for what was happening with the upgrading of the servers. I've had at least one user come up to me that's all that they can see, that they have no access to any of the forums or things. Is there anything I can do from the admin side? Is there a DNS issue, or is it still like caught in between the migration?
So here's one of the things we did, and I'm actually surprised you don't know this. When we first started looking at this, and Chris investigated how many users we had that were old that had ever posted, we marked everybody that had an account for 2 years but had never posted. We've moved all of those users to what we call old inactive accounts.
Right.
So they can see the forum, but they can't do anything. And
Okay,
they get an email, they get a post when they do that. It says contact us.
Okay.
So I get every day, at least one a day, somebody will say, I logged on, I registered 5 years ago and I couldn't afford it then, but now I can.
Right.
And I want to build an R2. And I mark those current.
Right. Yeah, I
So
knew.
I get one a day. That's what's going on with that.
Okay. Yeah, I knew that was being talked about. That was something that was going to happen. I didn't know it had been underway yet. So I've been kind of out of loop with Chris and things. So tell Chris I said hey.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Your
makes
name
sense.
comes up quite a bit when we talk about this stuff. So.
I'm sure. All right. Yeah, I'll get him to get in touch with Chris, and we'll get him straightened up.
Yeah. I'll have a side thing related to this. Now, when you register, you have to put in your location. That's
Right.
a required field.
Mm-hmm.
And because I've always believed it's a better community when you have some idea of where the person you're talking to is. And
Right.
it does come up all the time in the forum. Somebody will be asking a question. If they answer that question, matters if you're in Spain.
Right. Exactly.
Or if you're in Australia, or if you're in Canada.
Yeah.
And we don't care what location to put down, although we don't approve the ones that say Earth.
Right. Yeah, I've noticed that when I've approved several accounts. Every other day as I can get through it. But yeah, I've noticed that location's a big deal too. And actually, we've had a couple of conversations.
I'm sorry.
No, we've had a couple conversations at the con this weekend where people were talking about the old map feature and what a use that was, and Doug was talking about it as well. So that's definitely something I gotta send an email and I gotta talk to you guys. But yeah, it's the location thing is a big thing, and bringing the people together locally. That was one thing that early versions of Astromech was a big thing for. But
yeah, when they ask why, I'm like, knowing who's around you can be very, very handy.
absolutely.
So, no question.
All right,
So,
great.
also, when somebody does, it's an old inactive account, and they write, I'll say, new required field is location. Give me that, and I'll approve your account. So, any other questions?
All right, Ben.
Hi, Philip. This is Ben Lewitt. I'm on the Builders Council, and I was just wondering if you had any information you could share about will part runs change, part approvals, things with the Builders Council, or any of those things of how the club runs, or is this just all forum changes? Is any of the operations of how part runs in the club, are they going to change, or is it all going to stay status quo in this change?
So that's a big conversation right there. Since I supply parts, and I have bought parts and been as happy and as frustrated as anybody, I do have very strong feelings about what it means to be a part supplier and what those commitments need to be. Every time I think about it, it's a rabbit hole that I just am not ready to go down. But I do think the community, one of the strong benefits of the community is having trust among themselves and part suppliers. And we could be better at that. I mean, I try to do mine like, you know, when somebody gives me money, I need to give them something right away, you know, and if they ask me a question about it, I want to be able to answer that question. And if they're not happy with it, I want to make them happy. So I want everybody that supplies parts to be just like that. And so I'm going to walk that line and hold it for myself. And I'm also worried that I don't want to just run everybody away that makes parts. But, you know, I've read the frustrated posts and gotten emails and talked to people on the phone about what do I do? And I'm like, if this was the easy thing to fix, it would be fixed. It's not easy to fix. So it is not part of any discussion about moving to the new form, but it is something that I think as a community we need to deal with. Other than the commitment that I want to deal with that, I don't have anything else to say right now. There's no magic bullet for this.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, well, I'm very passionate about that too. I definitely think that there are a lot of things that could be better. You know, quality control. You know, getting things in a rapid turnaround. So I'm definitely up for working with you and any other people on the BC to make sure that this works well. So, got another question here.
Thanks for the presentation and for the shop tour. I love seeing all where the magic happens. That's great, and all the other things that you surround yourself with. My question was, right now, is the focus more on the migration side? Are there any ideas, like moving forward, are there any ideas for, you mentioned search, but like, you know, page 5 or 50 of the part run has the thing you need to tweak to make the thing happen, like digging that stuff out or making that stuff more accessible. Are there any thoughts or ideas in the future on how to bubble that information up to the top or make it more accessible for folks?
Put on the wiki. So there are definitely thoughts about that. And we were here yesterday. Trent was over here. And, there's been an R2 that belongs to a friend of a friend at the shop for 7 years. 7 years waiting on somebody to make him motivate. And so Trent was here helping, and I'm actually not helping. I'm watching. They're bringing up Shadow, and you know, we have this shield problem with the Arduino, and the first time he goes to pair the controller, it's MAC address fine, and then every time after that, nothing works. Every time, you know, and it's like, and we're searching error stack that 1238-1 or something like that. And so I put that in the forum and I search for it. I get 7 threads that among them have, you know, 650 pages. And so I'm just stepping through them. And the first one I find that has that number in it, Trent posted in 2019. And he's the one looking for the error. and it's for anybody that's ever done this, it's about soldering those 3 pads on that shield. So yes, stuff like that needs to be better organized. If we can convince Vagabond Elf to do this, he'll do it the way we all want to see it, I think. And maybe he's not the answer for that, or maybe he wears out on this stuff because it's a big elephant to munch on, you know, one bite at a time. But yeah, I think we need things that are found to be very important to lots of people in the bill. We need a better way to get to that. And it sounds like the wiki's that, you know, some people hear wiki and they're like, it just says, oh, that's too hard for me. I mean, that does happen too. So.
All right. Any other? Oh.
Hey, Philip, Kevin Holm here. You know, I'm one of the elder statesmen, and are you guys having conversations about how to make it, for a better word or better term, sexier, to try to move R2 building back off of the Facebook? Because, you know, you can't find something that you posted yesterday on Facebook and I know that I'm not alone, remembering somebody just posted a couple years ago on this topic. And when you find it, not only do you get to find out that it was 11 years ago and your memory is faulty, but you at least can find it. And this droid building is such a huge endeavor. I think we need to get as far away from things like Facebook as we can, but yet we seem to getting more and more embedded in Facebook. And I don't know, so now that's on your shoulders. Make this better than Facebook.
With this, I can only talk about it because I've heard of it. I don't have a Facebook account. I do have an Instagram. I do have an Instagram account though, but I've never posted a photo. But I hear you. The Zenforo is a pretty incredible platform for forums. It is so much better than what we have today that you can't even call them the same thing. I share that same goal. I want to be able to get to the information fast. I want to be able to have it be reliable. Part of that is that we need more people involved managing the data daily and even weekly than we have today. I mean, people need to be overseeing. It's never going to be just me overseeing or Chris James or anybody. I mean, really, nobody's looking at this stuff today and trying to figure out a better way to do it because nobody wants to invest money in the current platform, and I appreciate that. So I think once we get moved over and we have a sexier interface that is more fun for the community, which it will be right off the bat, then we can start to really begin to consolidate the information in a more usable fashion.
So you're basically saying you're bringing sexy back to the Astromech forum?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we got another question here.
Hi, Philip. Todd Harrington here. I've got a lot of your parts, and I want to thank you personally for them. Would it help if the Astromech users paid an annual fee to help fund some of the activities or some of the robust redevelopment? Would that help at all? Or
So I'm paying for all this stuff myself. Astromech makes no revenue at all. When I ran a Rebelscum, which I did for 25 years and sold it about 3 years ago, it had advertising that paid for it. And I lost money in Rebelscum. I probably lost $50,000 in the time I owned it. But, it also made quite a bit of money, so that losing only 50 was great. I'm very fortunate in that I was able to have some businesses that I sold, and I can afford to do this. I run theforce.net completely out of my pocket today, just because I feel like I owe those Star Wars fans that I've been with for 25 years that legacy and that forum. That's the history of Star Wars. There's not a better history of Star Wars written anywhere on the internet than what's in that forum. And honestly, I'd like to ditch theforce.net too, and I'm trying to find a way to give it away because my day-to-day would be better if I didn't have to administrate all these big sites in Star Wars. Not Astromech. I'm anxious to do Astromech. So I can afford to run it, but part of the thing is you have 54,000 people that have joined and aren't doing anything. Sometimes when you get something for free, you don't appreciate it. And I have done some thinking about whether or not you pay $1 a month to use Astromech or $10 a year. And not that we need the money. We don't really need the money, but I think it might make people appreciate it more, even though it's only $1. It's symbolic. And so I'm not looking for people to send money in to volunteer, to pay for stuff. All my time is free. All of Chris's time is free. And we've talked about it. And we're both very happy with it. We're not resentful at all. It's fun. It's an accomplishment. And, I live on making stuff and building stuff. That's what I do 7 days a week. And, you know, we really enjoy that part. I think these names I'm hearing, these aren't strangers to me. I know who these people are, and I know you appreciate it too. And we all have the same goal. And I think we're just probably by the rest of this year, we're going to get where we much closer to where we want to be. We may not be there this year, but we're going to be moving down that path. And instead of just moving sideways like we have been for a few years.
Great answer. Good question. We got another question.
Hi, Philip. So another question. With the new forum, is there a plan for an iOS application specifically, or are people still going to have to use Tap-a-Talk or whatever they're using now?
So Zenforo directly supports mobile devices, so you don't have to use Tap-a-Talk.
Oh, that's awesome. Good, great.
Yeah.
I got one more question.
Yeah, you're gonna get applause on that one. But yeah.
To follow up on the post about the possibly $1 a month, which I think everyone here would be thrilled to do. Do you think it would stop people to just investigate and learn? So maybe have it free for the first 3 to 6 months, and then pay $1 if you can't download anything, but you could view things, or you can't post. But I don't know. To me, it's awesome, and everyone would be willing to do it, that actually build something. But I'd be worried to stop people from joining and learning if they don't have at least a little bit of free access to see what we're all about. So I don't know.
So maybe many people in that room are like me. I've been a member of the RPF forever, and when they rolled out their pay program, you know, I don't pay because I don't need what that offers me there. So I think we'll have the same thing. You'll be able to do something, but it might be when you go to download files, you need to pay. Read, learn, investigate, all that stuff. But when you actually want to go get something that is super valuable, then that's when you have to sign up. And maybe everybody has not $1 a month, it's $10 a year. So when you sign up your first time, it's $10. You know, so I don't know. I'm not going to create this. I'm not going to make this decision in a vacuum. I'm going to get help from senior members of the community that we all decide that this is the way we should do it. I mean, ultimately, I may make the decision, but you know, I'm not trying to create a problem in the community.
That's great. Thank you, Nancy.
Hello. Hi, Philip. This is Nancy Shunke, and this is really probably more a comment than a question and a request, I guess. But it kind of echoes off of some things that Kevin said and then what you said about people coming in. As you know, I'm doing the STEM Academy, and I know when I go to cons, as many builders here do, and when we talk to kids and their parents at STEM Academy, we try to direct them to astromech.net in case they want to learn and start building. So I too would like to see something that is very accessible to them to look before they start having to pay for that reason. But also, I'm a woman, and one of the things I hear a lot from women is that they find the forums very difficult to manage and to find things on. And I think that it's not all women. I'm not trying to be, yeah. But I don't know if you can look at your data and see, like how it compares of, how many women post versus men, things like that. Because I think that I know me personally, I've been to the forums a lot. I got very frustrated with it. Part of it's because I'm a teacher and I'm not in a job where I work on a computer and I'm used to a forum format. That seems to be something that is kind of job specific for a lot of people. So I would ask people all the time, how do I find this? They're like, oh, it's on the forum. You just go look for this. And I honestly, I gave up on it. It was just frustrating. So that's why I think a lot of people are turning to Facebook, because it's easy to get that, hey, I want to throw a question out and answered. So I don't want to do away with the forums. I would love to make them more user-friendly. It sounds like some of the stuff that you've described will help with that a great deal. But I would just ask that as you're developing that, maybe if you have some input from a variety of people, to look at that so that we can help to ensure that we're getting that accessibility. I think that's going to be huge in how we grow as a community and how we continue to build so that we can enable more access to our hobby.
No, I agree. I think everybody that uses the forum lives with the forum, doesn't love the forum. So, and I'm a member of a couple other forums that don't have anything to do with Astromech that runs Zenforo, and I just when I'm on there, I'm like, yeah, this is great. I wish we did this. You know, I do think it'll be more accessible. I can't tell who's a woman unless they actually write it in an email to me. So we do have women that are members. I do see every week there'll be one or two that are clearly women, and at least clearly have women names. And that's, well, that, I mean, that, I don't know if that's okay to say or not, but I do, I hear what you're saying. I think our goal, just what we're doing is going to make it so much better. And I hadn't thought about whether or not we have a place for STEM interested people to go. And that's probably a section that ought to be there.
Yeah.
And hold on a second. Am I trying to figure out how I tell this call? Oh, send a voicemail. There we go.
On that
Yeah,
topic,
okay.
on that
Great.
topic, Philip, you know, I'm old school. I'm from the Yahoo group days. So one of the things Wayne and Chris set up, every forum post, I get an email with what somebody posted. So I essentially have alerts turned on all the sub forums. Is there any kind of possible like RSS feed for people who can like subscribe and see the post coming in, and then they can go to the forum when they see something?
So we, it's not on our list, so I'm glad you mentioned it. At Rebelscum and theforce.net, we have RSS feeds enabled that come to the site so that people on the site can see at a glance what's going on in the forum. And that's a good thing. We'll make that happen.
Great.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. We're ahead of schedule.
Okay.
So well, Phil,
anybody can email me all the time. Just philip@wiseacres.com or philip@rebelscum. And my phone number is right there on the store. If you ever need to call me, just send me a text and say why you're calling, because I screen unknown numbers, and just call. I mean, I'm here in Dallas, and I'm doing this all day, every day, 7 days a week. So.
All right. Well, we really appreciate it. Thank you very much for that. And
You bet.
yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Okay.
All right. While everybody's here, I'm going to make one repeat announcement.